work with us across the state. But look, she's looking at a country, a vast country. She's got to make that choice. You know, I'm always for the hometown kid, but I really do believe we have to let Kamala Harris, when she's our presidential nominee, make that selection.
How does this change for you in regards to running or in this campaign, all of this happening? Like, how many hurdles do you now have in front of you that you normally wouldn't have in just a normal?
Kamala Harris is our nominee, and I believe she will be. We can talk about a person who's got an extraordinary record. We can talk about all the benefits of the Biden-Harris tenure as presidency, what they've done, extraordinary work. We can talk about Vice President Harris's work as a local prosecutor in San Francisco, where she helped bring down crime levels. We can talk about her work on criminal justice reform as a state attorney general. We can talk about her work as vice president, and where we passed laws to reduce the number of guns that are in communities. They created an unprecedented number of jobs. And by the way, they put vaccinations in over 2 million people's arms, while Donald Trump was telling people to drink bleach.
Senator, do you believe this was the right move for the president to step aside from this campaign?
Look, I think I applaud President Biden's decision. I think I've said in the past, only he can make that decision. And yeah, if he believes that this was what he needed to do, I fully support his decision, both to finish out his tenure and to support Kamala Harris as our nominee.
President Biden has deep roots in Pennsylvania, as you know. Do you feel that Democrats have as good of a chance of winning Pennsylvania with Vice President Harris at the top of the ticket as they did with President Biden?
Absolutely. I think
it's a better chance?
I think Vice President Harris's energy, her enthusiasm, the time she spent here connecting with Pennsylvanians, she's no stranger to us. She spent a lot of time here, and I think people will be ready to enthusiastically support her.
Has she called at all? Have you spoken with her?
I've spoken with her many times on the phone, but I've not talked to her today.
What are the conversations like? Can you give us an idea of what your past 48 hours have been like? Or at least today?
So look, the past 48 hours is not the right time for me. It has been an interesting period of time. There have been people from across the country trying to figure out what was going on. Was the president really going to step aside in such a bold way? Many of us earlier this morning, I, along with all the other battleground state chairs, endorsed President Biden-Harris ticket because of their extraordinary record of leadership. I was in an interview that aired yesterday where we pointed out that only the president could make his health determinations, but his record was super strong. But I fielded calls from people across the country, and I will tell you today, since the president announced his decision and announced to support Kamala Harris, I have personally heard more, I would say more than 2/3 of, maybe more than that, but an overwhelming majority of state chairs say that they intend to support Kamala Harris and that they believe that Kamala Harris will be our nominee and will be the next president of the United States.
How difficult a challenge is this for the party, given that you're 107 days away from an election, and as of this point, you don't have a candidate? How difficult is that going to be for whether it's Vice President Harris or another nominee?
Well, technically, we weren't going to have a candidate anyway. I mean, typically, the candidate is officially becomes a nominee at the conventions. But this has been an unprecedentedly long presidential campaign, one in which both men became presumptive nominees before a single vote was cast, and because we never. So it is. What I would say now is we have there's clarity as to who our party's likely to be supporting. The questions, we can focus on a record of success that Kamala Harris represents versus a record of failure and deep divisions that Donald Trump has talked about. I mean, he's attacked the judicial system. He had folks storm the Capitol. He, as president, couldn't even condemn a march in Charlottesville where they marched for segregation on originally attacking the rights of African Americans, and then he concluded talking about the Jews would not replace us. And then a woman was killed at that march. Donald Trump said there were good people on both sides. We can contrast that with Kamala Harris, who stood up for Americans and stood up for justice, both as a DA, as a U.S. Senator, as a State Attorney General, and as a Vice President, and she will do a great job as President of the United States.
How did you find out today?
How did I find out? I got a text from the President.
What did he tell you?
It was his statement.
There are Republicans saying that if he steps, who had been saying before he made his decision, that if he steps aside, that he needs to step down. What do you think about that suggestion that's been made by some?
I think that the President Biden has done an excellent job running this country. There's no reason to suggest that he stepped down immediately. I think Republicans are grasping at straws and trying to find ways to distract from talking about the records of these two administrations. One in which the Biden-Harris administration has created an unprecedented number of jobs, has brought us out of COVID, brought down crime, and one in which Donald Trump inherited a robust economy from Barack Obama and ran it into the ground and represented abject failure, just like he's done in his businesses, where if you take the real dollars, the amount of money that he received from his daddy and the amount of money he has today, he ran his dad's businesses in the ground, he ran America in the ground, and he doesn't deserve a second chance.
There's some Republicans today saying that the voters already made their decision about who they want to be on the ballot, and this isn't fair to them.
Well, if I were a Republican, I would be scared of Kamala Harris too. So I think that I'm not moved by their fear. Kamala Harris was on the ballot for when they chose the Biden-Harris ticket. American people, all the Democratic primary voters understood that President Biden didn't feel he would be able to proceed, that Kamala Harris was going to step in for him. He now believes he should be proceeding as president. She's stepping in, and I think she's going to do a great job.
Do you feel like it would be unfair to the voters if the nominee were to be somebody other than Kamala Harris?
I think that it's going to be Kamala Harris. We're not going to need to get there. Yes.
There's been a lot made about turnout here in the city. Should Kamala Harris be the nominee? What do you think that means for sort of enthusiasm among Philadelphians?
Well, I'll tell you, I think it's a great question. The questions I was hearing and fielding in this room and other rooms were black folks going to get energized. I think black folks will get energized to elect a black woman president of the United States. I think there were questions, well, would young people be willing to vote for an 80-year-old candidate, no matter how strong his record is? Kamala Harris is a robust woman in her 50s, just a few years older than me, and it was a question of were people concerned about when President Biden walked in the rooms, how his gait, and I would say her stride is quite impressive.
So essentially, she is helping in the areas where President Biden may have struggled.
I think those really whether how he walked into a room really should have never been the focus. But now we won't have to worry about those questions. His age shouldn't have been the focus. But now when you look at the record is incredibly strong, and people have to focus in on that. And look, young people were reluctant to vote for someone who was the age of their grandparent, and now they don't have to do that.
Do you have any delegates saying that they're not on board?
I haven't heard from one delegate who said that he or she would not support Kamala Harris. I haven't called all the delegates. I'm chair of the state, but I haven't called them all. But I haven't heard from those who I have heard from have all been enthusiastically supportive.
And sorry, just to clarify the process one more time, you said you want to convene in the next day or two. You're talking about
Just
the state party or
I'm talking about the state party. So
Okay.
there's a few things that have to happen in the process. One, we'll have a meeting of the delegation to talk about what delegates want to do, and I will encourage delegates to support Vice President Harris to be our nominee. There will be a set of rules that will be adopted by the Rules Committee, which have not yet been adopted. And I don't want to preempt the Rules Committee for the DNC about when there will be a formal opportunity to make that expression. And then there's the state party just sort of doing an endorsement and encouraging delegates to do it. And there are some people who are both and some who they are not the same group of people, but I chair both groups. And we will encourage, the state's party will in some way, will try and get a convening of it so they can make a recommendation to the delegates.
So you're saying you hope that the state party makes an endorsement of Harris within the next day or two, but that the actual delegates may convene for a meeting, but aren't casting a vote in the next
The
day or
delegates
two?
will cast votes consistent with the rules adopted by the DNC.
Down the line.
Right, and
Okay.
what I said is I hope, but I haven't checked with my parliamentary or my rules folks. It may take a little bit longer than that to convene a meeting, but we'd love to have the state party endorse as well.
So state party endorsement in the next day or two you're hoping for?
I'm hoping for, but again, I want to caution that we have a process, and I've been talking with folks nationally and have not had a chance to sit down with my staff, my party staff, about what are the logistics of getting that done. We do have some notice requirements on that.
Okay.
Who votes on that? Is that the county chairs?
That will be the elected state committee members, which would
Right.
include county chairs, but not be limited to that.
But now,
It will include county chairs. They are state committee members, but it's also other rank and file state committee members.
okay, thank you.
So when it comes to those delegates,
But the delegates are the ones who make the actual selection.
when it comes to the delegates, do you just need, if it were Vice President Harris, does she just need a majority of Pennsylvania delegates to carry the entire Pennsylvania delegation? How does that work?
There's proportional, Pennsylvania, in the primaries, you can have proportional representation, but I fully encourage and believe that she will receive all of our delegates. But, that's not, the rules do not, the rules, it's not a winner-take-all situation like this in the general election. Any other questions?
There's so many.
Here. Yes.
If you were to see the president today or talk with him, what would you say?
Thank you, President Biden, for your support. Thank you for even when you lost your child standing up when you first got to the U.S. Senate, continuing to stand to work for the American people. I would say thank you, President Biden, even after Beau Biden died, for you to step up, to stand up for American people and stop Donald Trump. Thank you for unprecedented service. Thank you for standing up for the people of Philadelphia and southeastern Pennsylvania, where we had 2 Republican senators who didn't care about us. Thank you for being there for us my entire life. That's what I would say to President Biden. President Biden, if you're out there watching, thank you.
Question about the money too. I'm sorry. For PAC money.
That Biden-Harris money has already been transferred to Kamala Harris.
But for all the other PACs that may exist, do you have to do all that accounting?
All of the money that was raised to support Biden-Harris on the official side is now at the disposal of Kamala Harris.
Okay. There's no.
Dark money is not something that. The reason it's called dark money is that party officials aren't involved in that, so I can't describe. I don't know what that's going to happen with dark money. But on the hard side money, both Victory Fund money and Biden-Harris direct money would be available to Kamala Harris
As of
today.
today.
Yes.
Did you say earlier there was a letter sent around with other state party heads?
I did not.
Okay. I'm told that there was a letter sent this morning with other battleground state
Battleground
party
State,
chairs.
yes. Battleground State chairs went out this morning.
So why did you send that, and how did you also quickly decide to coalesce around?
We wanted to, we respected the outstanding and unprecedented, no, that was for President Biden this morning.
That was for President Biden this morning.
Yes.
Okay. So things changed really quickly.
It did. The letter this morning went out for the Battleground State chairs all endorsed President Biden, the Biden-Harris administration.
Okay. Why did you send that? Why?
Because of their unprecedented record of success. But that wasn't Harris, that was Biden-Harris.
I see. Okay.
All right, that looks like going once, going twice. All right.